Alright, welcome back to another Embrace Destiny video. Thank you so much for stopping by here. Today we are going to kind of air out some issues that I'm having with Destiny 2, Bungie, and the community. Don't worry, this is not a video where I sit here and complain. I've been kind of out of the video making loop for a couple of weeks, and I had a bunch of little points I wanted to put together in one video. So we are... Special thanks to my girlfriend here, whose gameplay we're viewing today. It's her first adventure and Lost Sector rated, so we get to check that out. Little point of order here: if you're playing Destiny 2 on the computer, on the PC, welcome to the community. That released today, depending on where you are. It's only been out for a few hours, and it wasn't that long ago, only about a month and a half ago, that I was conveniently working, rearranging my work schedule so that I could play the opening salvo of Destiny 2. So, since the game opened up about a month ago, we've had a few things. We've had Xur, a non-player character, has shown up and offers to sell his, he calls garbage, every week. We've had Faction Rally, we've had Iron Banner, and we've had raids and strikes, or raids and nightfalls, guided games, and prestige raids and prestige nightfalls, I think. I haven't done the latter of those yet. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the progress, what I'm seeing, what I've been hearing, and see how we can best move forward. So, the first thing is that a lot of these points kind of revolve around the same topic. You have two issues that kind of encapsulate the problems that everybody's been having with Destiny so far. One is the token system, and the other is, quote, lack of anything to do. Oh, hey, the farm. I remember the farm. It's a place you visit a lot in the early part of the game, and I should probably go back. I miss it. Hopefully we'll have more reason to visit the farm in later expansions. That's what I'm really hoping. But we'll talk about that later. So, the token system. In Destiny 1, everything worked on reputation. You did something, an event, a strike, a prison of elders. If you did certain events, you would gain reputation with certain characters, and they would randomly give you gifts of armor and weapons, but you could also, as you gained reputation with them, you could buy certain armor and weapons, stuff like that.
His name's Devrim.
In Destiny 2, it works similarly, but instead of getting reputation, you get tokens, and then when you turn your tokens in, you are able to randomly get a piece of armor or weapon or something like that. So, right off the bat, you have a little bit of a problem where in Destiny 1, you knew if you did certain events, you would get reputation. You could kind of figure out how much reputation you needed, and then at a certain point, yes, you would get random objects, but you could also you would also get a choice. It would say, hey, here's a list of 3 things, pick one, and then you could pick whichever one you wanted. In Destiny 2, it's a random system, so it's a complete lottery. You know that doing certain events will get you tokens, but you don't know what you'll get. And that's been causing a bit of issues. So, first time this came up was during the Faction Rally. I really liked how they kind of set that up sort of slowly. They announced that it was coming, and then the tower looked like it got, it looked like it got more set up, and then the faction leaders came in. You got to talk to them. You got to you complete their faction rally. And by completing their requests, turning in tokens, you could possibly get pieces of armor related to their faction. And the problem with this, again, is because it's a lottery, people were not able to get the things that they wanted. And then, to make it worse, Bungie actually they put a limit on the number of times you receive armor and weapons from those faction leaders. After a certain point, you're just getting glimmer, maybe mods, I guess, and shaders, aesthetic items, mostly. So, there's a real problem with that, because if you're told that the only way you can get this really cool, nice-looking gear that represents the faction that you've aligned with is by doing, certain events over and over and over again, fine. You'll go do that. It's a Skinner box. It's a video game. That's how it works. But then you're told, well, it's random, so you could do 100 hours of work, quote unquote, and get nothing, or you could play for 1 hour and get everything you want. And then, to make it worse, they put a limit on the top of it. So I'm not really sure what the thinking was there. I really don't know what the problem is. We can't trade gear with other people, so I don't understand why they would put a cap, a limit on the top of it. There's probably a reason, but I don't know it. Some people may say it's because they want to make players buy stuff with physical real money, but you can't buy any of that stuff in the game, so I don't understand it. But whatever. So, next time we saw it actually was during the Iron Banner. So if you're not that familiar, if you're coming in on the PC, what's the Iron Banner? It's a week-long multiplayer event that's slightly different from the normal multiplayer. Instead of it being hosted by Lord Shaxx, it's hosted by Lord Saladin. And it's generally a good time. It's generally a lot more difficult and challenging than the regular Crucible. So this year, first Iron Banner, Destiny 2, things worked a little bit differently. So again, you have the whole token system. There's some kind of issues with the lore, with the story standpoint, because Lord Saladin shows up to the tower, and when you go to talk to him, it says he's the last surviving Iron Lord, which kind of seems to suggest that A, Lady Aphrodite, a character we meet in the Rise of Iron campaign in Destiny 1, is no longer around. And I don't remember if I used A or number 1, but the second issue is that if you're a character that's returning from Destiny 1 and you played through the Iron Banner, you are an Iron Lord, or a Lady of Iron, and you're recognized as such by by Shaxx at the very beginning of the game. So it's weird for Saladin to come back and say he's the last surviving Iron Lord. I mean, maybe he's the last original? Maybe, even though Aphrodite existed at the same time, maybe she's gone? I don't know. It's a I was an Iron Lord before it was cool. Like, I don't know what the move is there, but seems like a weird misstep. The actual Iron Banner tournament seems to be pretty. The opinions on it seem to be pretty split in the community. In my clan, it's literally cut in half. Half of us, we really enjoyed it. We had a great time. The other half really didn't like it. Some of the points are related to the whole tokens and things like that, but there also seemed to be just a problem of actually playing it. There were some errors and some bugs that kept people out, but more importantly, people felt that they were just getting spawn killed all the time, all this stuff was happening, and yeah, I think the root of that issue is that in the regular Crucible, when you're playing a control map, which is what the Iron Banner was, the spawn algorithm that says, okay, you've just died, where should I make you come back to life again? Usually it says, it looks at what points you have covered and which ones you don't, and it tries to spawn you near one of the points you have. It's kind of a safe space. And sometimes that's a bit of an issue because control points are changing and the algorithm doesn't keep up, so you end up spawning right where the enemy is, capping your point, and then they kill you again. It can be a bit of a problem. But I think I got the impression during the Iron Banner that they were kind of locking in the spawn point to a specific side of the map for each team, and that meant that when the enemy was pushing into your side of the map, you had no choice but to spawn right where they are and die. Also, there's the idea, there's the design aspect where the Crucible in Destiny 2 is very much team-based. You can go alone, but if you're playing against some good players, you're going to get dominated, and it's just a lot better to run as a pack, and that can make people feel pretty overwhelmed pretty quickly, especially if they're not playing with friends or whatever, not playing well with their teammates, maybe not playing well with them. So I don't know, I had a great time, I enjoyed it, but I can see some of the issues there, and I can see a lot of the issues with the tokens. I got 22 or 23 ranks in I turned in that many tokens to get that many packages, and I didn't get the helmet. I got all the other armor pieces and a bunch of weapons, but I didn't get the helmet. I'm not really that upset about it. It's a game. It's a digital item in the game that I didn't even pay for, really. But it is a little bit frustrating that the system is a double lottery in a way. Plus the fact that when you win a game of Iron Banner, you get 5 coins, and when you lose, you only get 2. It means that if you're not having a good day, you have to play 5 matches to get a single you have to get 10 tokens to get a single package with Lord Saladin, which means if you lose constantly, you have to get 5 losses. Each game is about 20 minutes long, and, well, that's a bit too long for the casual player, I think. So, bit of changes that need to be made there, I think. Maybe up the number of tokens, and maybe make a point of being able to perhaps purchase specific items. I'm not sure. I think they should bring that back. In Destiny 1, if every time you got up to a certain rank, it unlocked certain equipment that you could get. And then you could say, well, I'm rank 4 now, I have now unlocked the helmet, so I'm going to buy it. There was an issue where every Iron Banner was a bit different. You know, in this Iron Banner, Saladin offered all of the guns, it seemed, and all of the armor, if you could get it. But in Destiny 1, it was more like, if you get to rank 5, you can definitely buy this helmet and this like chest piece. But I'm not bringing the leg armor, and I'm not bringing the marks, so you can't get them. Balanced issues, I don't know, it's weird. So in terms of upcoming events, we've got, there's no Festival of the Lost this year. That was a Halloween event that they had the last couple of years. And probably because it's too close to the release of the PC. Kind of unfortunate, because it would be nice if there was like a single event that was unifying the whole community, even if we weren't on the same system or in the same instance in the tower, but I understand it. It makes a lot of sense. I'd rather them focus on one thing well than 3 things poorly, obviously. But community manager Deej, he did let it drop on Twitter, and maybe it was in the blog post as well. I haven't been reading in the last couple of weeks. I've been too busy. But we will have a winter event. So the Dawning is coming back, the winter holiday event. You may remember, actually, one of my first videos for this channel was during the Dawning. They had the Sparrow Racing League, where you're driving your Sparrow around and jumping off walls and doing tricks in the air, and it was a lot of fun. So I really hope that they bring Sparrow Racing League back. That'd be a lot of fun. And on a side note of Sparrows, what happened to bells? This may sound like the ranting of a crazy person, but basically in Destiny 1, every Sparrow got a bell, and you could get a different horn or whatever, and it would make different sounds, and it was fun. Destiny 2, not a single one. I don't know why. I mean, bells are useless, you know, but there's a lot of useless aesthetic items in the game already, so I'm just curious who decided that that was taking up too much memory space, too much programming. No idea. So, circling back to the Crucible, and the idea that there's not enough to do. So, the problem with a game like this is that it's kind of trying to bridge the gap, I think, between a standalone game that you release and maybe patch once in a while when things are broken, and something like a massive multiplayer online game where you have different stories and challenges and things that evolve and are released on a regular basis. They announced during the making of Destiny 2 that there would be more to do and there would always be content coming, but we're still finding a lot of players are bored. Now, in all fairness, I'm going to try and say this delicately so that the extreme Destiny fans don't take it the wrong way, but I think there's a lot to do in Destiny 2. I think they've added a lot of content. I understand completely why why these people are having issues, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but I think to say that Destiny 2 has no content is blind, really. So the reason that these people are running out of things to do is, if I'm being delicate but also firm but fair, they play it a lot. They play the game way more than the average player. I mean, Destiny 2 has done a good job of making it so that the average person who maybe has 20 minutes a day, maybe 20 minutes every other day, whatever, they are making it so that those players can jump in, do a Crucible match, whatever, get out, they're gone. And unfortunately that alienates the players who have several hours at a time every day or every other day, weekends, whatever, and they can just burn through the game. And those players, they've done everything. They've done everything once, they've done everything twice, they've had a third character completely ranked up and leveled, and they're running out of things to do. So one thing that they've suggested, especially for fixing the Crucible, is having a ranked playlist. So the idea is that right now we have a competitive and we have a quick play, but they want something more like a ranked playlist so that you are definitely matched up with people who will challenge you and make it interesting. Because apparently these really skilled players are just stomping their way through the game and they're not having that much fun. I think it's a good idea. I'm kind of curious as to why it's not in the game. Bungie made Halo 2. They made the multiplayer experience what it is today, but they're not doing that in this game. What I find even more suspicious is they've been very quiet on the entire matter. I don't know. I kind of follow the news. I sometimes see interviews that they have, and I don't remember once hearing them talk about it. They may have said it very quickly, like, oh, Destiny 2 will not have ranked playlists. But I don't hear why. I don't hear what their reasoning for it is. I'm sure they have one. I have no idea what it is, but I'm sure they have one. It's the same with the guided games. They didn't want to implement a whole looking for group system. They wanted to find a way to bridge the gap and make it so that you had to make clans and make the community larger, not just a random, you know, a multiplayer and a random assigning of random players to play with you. I get that. I understand that point. I may not always agree with it, but I understand it. I don't understand why there's no ranked competitive playlist yet. They've been quiet, I haven't heard. Maybe you have. Let me know. Drop an interview, drop an article, something like that. I'd be really curious to know what their reasoning is for it. But I think it would be a good idea. It would give these players who are really good and really not feeling very challenged or entertained something to do, and the rest of us some goal to strive toward. It's a bit of a challenge. Some people don't like the PvE aspect that's like this, running through the game and doing the lost sectors and stuff, and they only do it so they can unlock certain things and get certain weapons. Some of us, like myself, love it, and there's been a lot to do. To say that there's nothing is, I don't know, maybe it was all front-loaded. You have all these adventures, these lost sectors, these side quests, strikes, the story campaign, everything, collectibles, patrols. But maybe once you do them once, or 3 times for your characters, you don't feel like doing it again. I don't know. It's a bit harsh to say, especially because we know we're getting at least 2 expansions for this game, and they'll likely come out soon. I'm not sure when the first one is coming out, but I wouldn't be surprised if it came out sometime between late November, it's probably too early, and March. That's my guess. They may even come out a bit earlier than that. I don't know. I think it's been already discussed. I've been really kind of avoiding all of the news about it because I don't want to be spoiled. But worst case, we wait until March to get an update for this game. And at that point, they'll probably drop a bunch of changes. They've mentioned the idea of seasons, where every season you can earn stuff for your clan, and they'll make big changes to the game. So yeah, I don't know. Part of my advice is for these people to be patient, but it really bothers me when people say, oh, this game is crap and it's dead and there's nothing to do, and it's like, well, even if the game only entertained you for about 15 hours, that's what you paid for. I mean, yeah, we did pay for a game that evolves over time, but the time hasn't passed yet. It's like I said, it's a weird in-between where it's almost like World of Warcraft, where you pay to have these expansions come out more often. But on the other hand, you know, Halo 1 didn't have multiplayer, and you got to the end of that and you were fine. And so for them to say it's dead, I guess they mean that they're not able to keep playing. This is my favorite part of this whole video right here. I always get the timing wrong rewatching it, editing it, but right there. Girlfriend using her Sentinel shield. I haven't really commented too much on her gameplay. I feel kind of remiss. I actually have done this recording 2 or 3 times trying to get the audio right for you, but some short points. She seems to be liking it, and just watching her play, it seems to be easier to navigate through the world. No more running into random corners, running into the darkness, wondering who's punching in the back of the head. So I'd like to believe that it's because Destiny 2's level design and lighting and maybe her experience with Destiny 1 have helped her be a more successful Guardian in Destiny 2. But anyway, it's been a long rant. Wanted to get everything kind of in order. Let me know what you think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, drop a comment. I'm just really curious what you're thinking, what you're liking about Destiny. I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope to see you all out there. So thank you very much for watching. Oh, hold on. There we go. Bye now.